Alright, so in this problem, I have x to the power of x to the power of 77 is equal to 77. So I obviously want to find the value of x for this problem. So for my solution, I'm going to first start by taking the power of 77 on both sides. So now I have x to the power of x to the power of 77 to the power of 77 is equal to 77 to the power of 77. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n, right? And a to the power of m times n, this is the same thing as a to the power of n times m. They're both the same thing, it doesn't matter the order. So now, if a to the power of m times n is equal to a to the power of m to the power of n, then this means that a to the power of n times m is equal to a to the power of n to the power of m. And because all of these equal each other, this means that a to the power of m to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n to the power of m. So over here, we have x to the power of x to the power of 77 to the power of 77. And we can think of x to the power of 77 as m and 77 as n. So now, remember this is the same thing as I can switch these two places. So now I have x to the power of 77 to the power of x to the power of 77 is equal to 77 to the power of 77. Now I'm going to let x to the power of 77 equal to the variable y. So now if I substitute in y for x to the power of 77, I get y to the power of y is equal to 77 to the power of 77. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of a is equal to b to the power of b, this means that a is equal to b. So in this case, y to the power of y equals 77 to the power of 77. This means that y equals 77. And remember how we let x to the power of 77 equal y. So now I have x to the power of 77 is equal to 77. So to solve this, I'm going to take the power of 1 over 77 on both sides. So I have x to the power of 77 to the power of 1 over 77 is equal to 77 to the power of 1 over 77. So I get x is equal to the 77th root of 77. Alright, so in this problem, I have x to the power of x to the power of 5 is equal to 100. So to solve this, I'm going to start by taking the power of 5 on both sides. So now I have x to the power of x to the power of 5 to the power of 5 is equal to 100 to the power of 5. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. And a to the power of m times n, that's the same thing as a to the power of n times m. We can switch the places of these two. Now, if a to the power of m times n is equal to a to the power of m to the power of n, then this means that a to the power of n times m, this must equal a to the power of n to the power of m. And because all of these are equal to each other, this means that a to the power of m to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n to the power of m. So over here, we have x to the power of x to the power of 5 to the power of 5, and we can think of x to the power of 5 as m and 5 as n. So if I switch those two places, I get x to the power of 5 to the power of x to the power of 5 is equal to 100 to the power of 5. Now 100, I'm going to rewrite that as 10 squared. So now I have x to the power of 5 to the power of x to the power of 5 is equal to 10 squared to the power of 5. And this is the same thing as x to the power of 5 to the power of x to the power of 5 is equal to 10 to the power of 10. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of a is equal to b to the power of b, this means that a is equal to b. So x to the power of 5 is equal to 10, meaning x is equal to the 5th root of 10. Alright, so in this problem, I have a to the power of x plus a to the power of x plus a to the power of x plus a to the power of x is equal to 8. So to solve this, I'm going to first start by replacing 8 with 2 to the power of 3. So now I have 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x plus 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x plus 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x plus 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of n to the power of m. So 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x, that's the same thing as 2 to the power of x to the power of 3. So now I have 2 to the power of x to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of x to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of x to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of x to the power of 3 is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. So now I have 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 to the power of 3x is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now if I factor out 2 to the power of 3x, I get 2 to the power of 3x times 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 to the power of 3, which is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3x times 4 is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now, 4, this is the same thing as 2 squared. And I can divide both sides by 2 squared. So then these two cancel out. So now I have 2 to the power of 3x is equal to 2 to the power of 3 over 2 to the power of 2. And 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 2, that's equal to 2 to the power of 3 minus 2, which is equal to 2 to the power of 1. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n, this means that m is equal to n. So in this case, 3x is equal to 1, and if I divide both sides by 3, I get x is equal to 1/3.